Today I'm making an oatmeal cookie ice cream with the Ninja Creami. It's pretty easy. It's kind of two steps. One is making the base, which is going to have cottage cheese, any kind of milk. Today I'm using whole milk because I ran out of almond milk, but you could use any kind. A little bit of Jello pudding for stabilizer, and I like to put a little bit of guar gum in there to stabilize it. But the main base is going to be oats, and these are overnight oats. I just put them a little bit of milk in, any kind of milk you want, with maybe a half a cup of oats, and I put them overnight to let them soak so they're nice and soft. That's going to be the start of my base. So what I'm going to do is make my base, or start my base, then I'm going to make a topping that has oats, walnuts, and sugar, and I'm using this golden monk fruit, but you can use any kind of sugar you want. And then I'm going to mix half of that in to the ice cream base, and then half of it I'm going to keep for the topping. You can, as an option, you can put raisins in that too, but I don't like raisins in my oatmeal cookies, so I'm leaving that out. So to start, I'm taking my overnight oats, and I'm putting cottage cheese, any kind of cottage cheese you want. This happens to be 4% small curd, and I'm not measuring. I would say it's about a cup, and I'm going to put it directly into my oats. And I'm going to add sugar to this, but I like to melt my sugar. So it's about a quarter cup I'm going to put, and because I'm going to melt it, I'm going to put it in this jar to melt it and spin it. So I'm going to add maybe, this happens to be about 3/4 of a cup of milk. I'm going to add, actually I'm going to put this in the microwave for about a minute to heat it up, and then I'm going to add it to my pint. Once I've melted this for about a minute, it gets a little bit liquefied. You see it's at the bottom of the milk, which is fine. I find it just blends up better, and it doesn't have any crunch in the ice cream. I don't like having any granulated sugar in my ice cream, so I'm picky about that. So the reason I put this in a bullet, you can mix it any way you want in any kind of blender, but I like to use the bullet because I'm going to also add dates. And I like those to be pre-mixed because otherwise they you can get little chunks and it's not good. The dates not only add good oatmeal flavor, but they also emulsify well. So I'm just going to break them apart so that they blend nicely. And probably the most important part is the cinnamon and nutmeg. I'd say about a teaspoon. You can add as much or as little as you like. And it doesn't matter when you add this. I'll go ahead and add it now. This is also an important ingredient. It is vanilla bean paste, just like a small dollop, maybe a little bit more. And then also I like adding vanilla. And today I'm using Madagascar bourbon. You can use any kind of vanilla you like. I'd say about a teaspoon. Okay, so I'm going to blend this up, and then I'm going to add it to my pint, and then I'll take you to the next step, which is making our topping that's also going to go into our oatmeal cookie ice cream. After I've blended this up, it smells really good. I'm going to pour it directly into my pint. You can mix this up, and then I have a little bit of room left, and that's going to be where I put my topping, which is going to be part of my base and also part of my topping. It's going to really give it that oatmeal cookie taste. It's smelling really good though. Over the stovetop, I'm going to turn it on to medium heat. I'm going to add a little bit of butter. You can add as much or as little as you want. You don't have to use butter, but I think it makes a better topping. And directly to that, I'm going to add about half a cup of chopped walnuts. I'm going to cook those for a few minutes, and then I'm going to add a couple more ingredients. Now that the nuts have cooked for a few minutes, I'm going to add my oats. About the same amount, maybe half a cup. And I'm going to stir this around and let it get saturated in the butter and start cooking. And once that starts to brown up nice, then I'll add my last ingredients. After a few minutes, this is nice and browned up and it's starting to smell good. So now I'm ready to add a few more ingredients. It's going to make it taste really good. One is an option. I'm going to add a little bit of bourbon whiskey. Kind of gives it a little bit of nice flavor. And then I'm going to add some, you can add sugar of your choice. You can add brown sugar. I'm adding monk fruit with erythritol, and it's about, I'd say, a little more than quarter cup. And cinnamon, more cinnamon, maybe like a teaspoon. Little bit of nutmeg, just a tiny bit, and salt. Salt is an important ingredient for ice cream, surprisingly. Just a little bit, and I'll do it by taste, but just to start. Now I'm going to stir this all around, and it's going to make a nice sauce, and then I'll let that cook off a little bit, and then I'll show you the last step. All right, now it's ready. It's been cooking for a few minutes, and it's nice and browned, and the sauce is kind of cooked down. So now I removed it from the heat, and I'm ready to put it on parchment. So I'll move that over here. Just lay it out so that it gets hard. When I say gets hard, it's not going to get too hard. It's just going to get crispy like a nice oat topping. So like I said, this is going to be both the topping, and I'm going to put a little bit in my oatmeal cookie ice cream. So it kind of gives it both the multi-dimensional. It gives it both the cooked overnight oats taste and feel, and then it also, these are kind of like crispy oats, and they're going to be all mixed up in the ice cream, so they're not really going to be crunchy, but it just changes the depth of the flavor. After I've let this sit for a few minutes, it's still a little bit warm, but it's now you can see it's crunchy. I can break it apart, and it'll be a nice topping. I'll put most of it away for both either a mix-in or a topping for my ice cream, and some of it I'm going to add directly. Doesn't really have to be broken up, but just to show you, I'm going to break some of this up and just put it in. Depends on my mood, maybe a quarter of it. I'm kind of just looking at the top to make sure I don't go over the maximum level. I don't want to have I find that I can go over by a little bit, but I don't want to go over by too much. So I'm just breaking a few pieces, putting those in, and I'm also going to add a little bit of Jell-O pudding. This is a good stabilizer and it has good flavor, just a tiny bit, and a little bit of guar gum. I put my guar gum in this little tin, and I'm just going to take my finger and just maybe a couple little bits. I'm going to mix that up and freeze this for 24 hours and be ready to spin it tomorrow. After 24 hours, I'm ready to spin this. It looks good. I'm going to spin this on regular because it's got oatmeal in it, and cottage cheese is kind of like full fat, so I think regular will do the trick. So turn it on, put it on full, regular, and spin it. I actually had to do a mix-in setting in addition to the regular, but now it looks good. So I'm ready to serve it. It feels a little bit soft. It's not like a soft serve. It's like, but it's just a little softer than normal. It's pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit of the topping that I had made earlier. I'm going to kind of break it up, put it on top. Looks like this. And now I'm ready to taste it. And of course I forgot my spoon. Grab a spoon from over here. Good thing the spoons are right behind me. The flavor's great. It turned out a little bit icy this time, and I'm not quite sure why because I've made this several times. It almost seems like I put a little bit too much oatmeal in it. It tastes really good, but The texture is not perfect this time.